Alright, welcome back, and this one's going to be part 2 of the Craftsman Curbfind 6.75 with the Briggs & Stratton motor. So I did actually go into my parts bin because I looked into these bolts because I have like little bolt kits, different ones of other sizes as well over here, so you can see it right there. And I wasn't able to find the necessarily bolt that came with this one, but I actually looked into, so this is the one that was left on it. I actually went into my miscellaneous bolts, and I actually found the exact same one that I actually needed. So it'll work perfectly. It might be a hair bigger, but I think it'll work perfectly for it. So the top of the head is a little bit bigger, but I think it should work fine. So what I was going to do here is I'm going to try to line everything up before basically installing it and just making sure everything is good. So all it is basically on the muffler is you just have this top portion that rotates like this. So what I wanted to do is actually just get it first on the actual rod. There's a rod right here where basically it rides in the center. So what I was going to do there is basically just make sure that the rod is there. And what we'll do first is let me just put a bolt in. Actually, you know what? We can just actuate it like this by the top so we can see on the other side. So what I'll do here is let me line it all up now. And it's really basically the muffler on it is just basically the top of the pins basically that hold it in, where the little keys will kind of lock into it. And this one's going to be the old one. So the old one was up top, and the new one I'll put on the bottom where it was missing. And we basically have it locked there, and then we'll just line it up. And it is in between the actual part. So what I'll do next is just line everything up, make sure it's against the block. Sorry for the camera angle, it's just trying to line everything up perfectly for it, more or less. And this might take just this quick second just to make sure everything's lined up. Okay. I want to make sure that this tab, okay, it is inside. Now see, this is the only problem is now I'll have to, when I bolt it down, we'll have to run it to make sure it's good. And then I can make sure that it actuates. Why does this feel like it's not going in all the way? Let me see if I can just look at it one last time. Let me get that off. Okay, so it looks like it wasn't on. Maybe that's what the problem was. So you got to make sure everything is kind of lined up perfectly on these as you're basically working on them, so they slide right in and they go. So what I'll do here is let me just line up the tabs again. I apologize. And actually, looking at it, this hole is a little bit bigger on the bottom. He wore it in. That's why it fit in so smoothly here. That's interesting. So it has been modified. That is interesting. See, because this is the replacement bulb. I'm sorry, the replacement bolt. You can see it doesn't line up quite right. So yeah, so that's interesting. But it does go through all the way. I don't know why he made it bigger, because I feel like this would make it rattle more because you made a little bit of a bigger hole. That is interesting though, unless there was a problem with the auto choke and you messed with it. But what I'll do here is let me just make the hole just a little bit bigger, because this should still work and it should still actuate once we have it back together and I can start it up and let it run, and we'll see if the choke opens up all the way. So let me just pause the video here and I will be back in a second. Alright, so back there. Now I did find the bolt, and it seems like it's the correct one. The top one I feel like is a little bit smaller, and it feels like it's a hair off. I did tighten it down, but I feel like it's still a hair off. So I'm going to leave it as is. The bottom bolt is secure. I just didn't fold the latches back in. And what I'll do now in this series is I'm going to pull it out again, and I'm going to go ahead and let this just run for a few minutes to make sure that the actuator is in the correct position. So it is closed for choke, and I'm just making sure that obviously the lever works for it. So let me just set you guys up outside for a second, and we'll let it run for just a few minutes just to get warmed up completely. So I'll just set it up over here. What I'll do is I do have a little holder for it, so I'll start it and let it run for a little bit. So we let that run for a few minutes there. It should be nice and hot now. So what I'll do is check the position of the actual carb. And lo and behold, I did install it right. So I'll show you guys on camera here. Getting off the tripod. Hopefully you guys can see. It is open. Let me see if I can find a light here. Just because I do have a light. It's kind of hard to see with the afternoon sun here. And of course it's pointed right at my garage where I want to record. So the lighting's not ideal, but if you can see, maybe I'll try to focus on the camera a little bit. You can see it's completely open, so that's good. So it is actuating, so I do have it in the correct position because it was closed. And what I'll do is I'll let it sit, and then it should basically go fully closed in the next couple hours. So I was able to go ahead and salvage it. It does make an occasional popping noise, so I am hopeful that there isn't anything else with it, but it seems like it's running fine. It does need a quick cleanup slash detail on it, but it looks like it's gonna be a runner though. I just don't know why the muffler bolts were removed, why one was smaller than the other. So that's the only thing I don't know. But looking at it overall, and I see there was a little bit of damage right there to that top head bolt. Looking at it overall, it looks to be okay. It doesn't seem like it has any gasket issues. I mean, there'd be a puddle here. So we'll see what happens. I'll let it sit and cool over the next couple of days, and I'll revisit this one shortly. So yeah, hope you guys like the content. Hope you guys like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you guys out on the next one. Take it easy.